Hello, today I have a double feature, two UGREEN 100-watt chargers. These are both CD226 chargers. So they have the exact same model number, but they have different part numbers. If you're new to the channel, there's a whole series on these power adapters where I test them for the power in and out while also comparing them to other offerings. There are billions of power adapters in use, and this series will help you make an informed buying decision since not all devices are created equal. So first we have this UGREEN One for All and Easier Life charger. On the back we can see it has the CD226 and the part number. They give you a little bit of information here about the different ports and the charging and stuff like that, and the max output's 100 watts. That's something I don't like, but we'll explore that later. Let's open it up. It does come wrapped in plastic. Conveniently, they tell us what's in the box. So here's the actual specifications. These are just repeated from the back of the box. They keep it pretty simple on this one. And here's the power adapter. You can see we have our different USB ports, and one of the things I don't like already is that there's no power label on these, and I know that they're different. So some of these ports do different watts versus the others. We see some marks on this. So we have a 6 up here. That's our DOE efficiency mark. We have a Japanese safety listing, which is not going to cover us for the US or Canada or North America or Europe for that matter. So this device is effectively not safety listed. The wall charger packaging weighs 89 grams. The wall power adapter weighs 227 grams. Quite heavy. All right, next, let's take a look at this thing. And I have to say, this packaging is something else. It's actually got magnets. Anyway, we open it up and get quite the ensemble. This whole thing was also wrapped in plastic. Extremely similar. They tell us you gotta plug in the power. The power cable is rated for 875 watts. So the power outputs of these ports for this CD226 power adapter are completely different than the other power adapter. So this is a desktop power adapter. So the desktop version, same model number, completely different output on the port. So you have 200 watt ports, a 20 watt port, and an 18 watt port. Take you to places unknown that full of energy. So here's that 875 watt power cable. See, they have their logo embossed in the end there. This actually doesn't feel that poor of quality. It's not magnetic or anything, so this is actually copper core. And here's the power adapter. So it's fairly slim, you know, if we take a look at it in comparison with its 100 watt wall charger, it's bigger, but it's slim. It has these little rubber feet on the bottom, but if you were to plug a USB port into it, it's not gonna stay in place though. So here's our information on the back of the charger, and we can see that it has the 6 for DOE efficiency, and we can see this device has absolutely no attempt at a safety listing whatsoever. Your mileage may vary with this one. You can see it is the CD226. They tell us about our ports. One thing that is nice about this power adapter, they do tell you which ports do the 100 watts. So you know you got your higher power ports over here, and then the other two you're left to figure it out yourself. The desktop wall charger packaging weighs 212 grams. The desktop wall charger and power cable weigh 404 grams. By far the heaviest power adapter I've seen yet. Alright, so first let's check the idle power consumption of the wall power adapter. So one of the issues I noticed with this power adapter is that it has the DOE 6 efficiency mark on it, but it doesn't have a low enough power consumption to meet that requirements. Right off the bat, it's already not meeting the requirements essentially. That's kind of a fail for this one. Alright, so now I have the desktop power adapter plugged in, and we can see with this power adapter that it is in fact meeting the 0.21 watt limit of that DOE 6 requirement, so this does in fact meet that requirement. It's okay in terms of its idle power consumption. Actually, for the 100 watt class power adapter, it's on the lower side. Alright, so I went through and I checked all the different modes on both of these devices, and they both behave the same way. And I'll just use this device to describe it. When you plug into one of these ports and plug into one of these ports, it resets the two, so they have to renegotiate their power because the power limit will decrease because it's a 100 watt total device. The same thing happens with this other USB-C port. So this port will also renegotiate the voltage on these ports over here. When you plug into the USB-A port, it doesn't seem to reset these ones, but it will also decrease the power output for these ports. So that's how the power sharing is working across these ports. All right, so here we are. We're running 100 watts on the wall power adapter, and we can see over here that it does in fact not have power factor correction, so we're running pretty low. We're going to take a look at the graph for this one, and we can see that it's very spiky and peaky, and so it's not very pretty. It's certainly not what we want to see, very large peaks for the current values at this 100 watt setting. All right, let's go ahead and take this one up to overload and see where we get. 105 watts, 106 watts, 107 watts, 108 watts, and it's off. So it looks like this device can do about 108 watts before it trips out the overload. I feel it's starting to get a little warm. And that's okay. That's really an acceptable number. Not a problem at all. So both of these devices support PD 3.0, which is a power delivery specification developed by the USB standards that allow you to increase the voltage when negotiated by your device. So your laptop or your cell phone or other things can charge at higher rates and negotiate with these devices to charge at those higher rates. I put on screen here the different voltages that these support, and I also put on the PPS mode, which is a variable mode, which allows the phone to charge a little more efficiently than it would with a constant voltage. Okay, so now I'm back with the desktop charger. One of the things we see is it's set to about 20 watts right now. I'm on the 20 volt mode, so you would expect this thing, if it had power factor correction, to turn it on there, but it does in fact not do that. So we can see right here, we're sitting about 0.57, so it's actually on the low side. But when we take this up to 45 watts, this device does in fact have power factor correction. So the desktop version of this power adapter just moved up a little bit by having this power factor correction feature. So at 50 watts, you can see we bumped our power factor up to 0.95. So what we can see on the graph is that we got a pretty nice sine wave. It's pretty clean, power factor's high, our VA number is almost matching the power number, so that's excellent. So the downfall of this power adapter is if you're using less than 45 watts, which is certainly going to be a common use case, that power factor mode is going to be shut off, it's a very high threshold to set your power factor correction. I mean, if you're going to include it, you might as well turn it on and use it. So next we can check this device for overload condition and see what we get. 105 watts, 110 watts, 112 watts, 114 watts, 115 watts, and it's off. So it looks like this power adapter will get you to about 114 watts before it trips out on that 100 watt port. Really not bad. Again, it's a little on the high side, but it's, you know, it's doing what it needs to do. Both this power adapter and this one did recover, so they both turned back on at the 5 volt mode without any problems there, so you didn't have to unplug and plug the port back in to renegotiate that mode. Alright, so I want to talk quickly about these safety listings. These devices are rated up to 240 volts on the casing here, and Japanese standard voltage is 100 volts, so having a safety listing for a lower voltage means this device is not necessarily safe to use in higher voltage markets. It may be perfectly safe, but they decided not to get the rating on this one. This one, however, they didn't bother getting any rating at all, so we don't know if this device is truly okay to use in the world market or not. And you know, that's one of the issues that I've seen, and the reason why I held off on doing this review for so long is because I knew that these power adapters didn't have that safety listing, and I just didn't want to basically waste the money on a power adapter that I didn't really feel safe using. And it's something that people should be aware of with these UGREEN power adapters. Some of them are listed and some of them are not listed, and these larger 100 watt NEXODE, next generation, you know, super duper power adapters do not have that safety listings. Not for the United States and Canada markets at least. Alright, so first up, let's take a look at the power numbers for the wall 100 watt charger, and they're bad. Yeah, it doesn't have the power factor correction, so we saw that, and honestly the efficiency wasn't even all that high either. Doesn't meet the DOE requirements, so yeah, this one's a hard skip. This thing's supposed to be the new version of their power adapter, and it's just kind of bad. When it does the overall score, it's just, yeah, not as good, 94. So for a 100 watt class adapter, this one's far short of what other people are doing. When we take a look at the desktop adapter, we can see it does a little bit better because one, it does have that lower power consumption. So, you know, that idle score is a little higher. And then when it does flip up to the above 45 watts modes, it does have the power factor correction. So that helps it out a little bit, but it still scores very, very low, especially in those lower power modes, because it just doesn't make an attempt basically. So overall on this one, we end up at a 136, which is moving up the scale a little bit, but still fairly poor for an overall power quality score. Like I say, at idle, it gets a couple of marks because it does a little bit better. So when we take a look at these devices on the graph, we can see that the NEXODE 100 watt CD226 desktop charger falls quite a bit higher than the wall charger, although, remember, neither have safety listings. Alright, so overalls on these UGREEN NEXODE CD226 adapters, can say the desktop one in terms of power performance is an okay, but it doesn't have a safety listing at all. It does function. If you want to take the risk in your own hands, do it to it. The Wall charger, on the other hand, doesn't have power factor correction, which in a 100-watt class adapter is really a shame because it just means that that score is very low. It doesn't perform very good, especially when you're talking about how it interacts with an AC sine wave grid. Again, also no US Canada safety listing, so we're limiting that market. So I have to say these two devices just really didn't live up to the hype. They're expensive also. So both of these power adapters were just way up the charts in terms of pricing. So there's a premium price for these devices, and yet they just don't offer the same quality level that other premium priced products are offering. And the other premium devices may offer other features such as a safety listing. So they actually went through some verification to make sure that they're actually not going to burn your house down. So one of the things I saw with these power adapters is they were actually just featured on Linus Tech Tips. So LTT featured these power adapters as one of their advertisements. So I mean, I know they get paid to do it. So I know I have this 200-watt desktop UGREEN charger here. I also have these two Minix power adapters, which were a request in the comments, so I will be doing these ones soon too. Well, time to apply some stickers, even if they aren't very good. Alright, well, they've been tested. They didn't do that great. One of the higher requested videos, and yeah, the disappointment lived up to exactly what I thought it was going to. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.